What's going on YouTube? My name is ginj-tcg or Chris, and today I'm back with another rogue deck that I have showed once before on the channel, but the list has changed a decent bit and it's been doing really well in online tournaments lately, so I wanted to give it a shout, and that is the Toedscruel EX deck. With the Protective Mycelium ability, you prevent all effects of attacks done to your Pokemon with energy attached. So when you pair that with something like the Teal Mask Ogerpon, and you could accelerate a lot of energy in play from its ability, and then energy switch to move them to Toedscruel, you can create a full board state where you not only swing for 280 because of like the Colony Rush attack where you do 80 plus 40 more for every bench Pokemon with grass energy, but you also stop things like Dragapult's Phantom Dive. Not the 200 damage part, you still take that, but the 6 damage counters to bench won't affect any Pokemon with energy. Other big things that are impacted are Giratina V-Star with the Star Requiem. It wouldn't work because we have energy attached, so we don't take any effects. Sableye, which does damage counters with Lost Mine. And, you know, a few other cards that maybe do, like, paralysis effects, or, I mean, occasionally you get a Pokemon with, like, sleep or confusion. Like, if you're against a Venomoth deck, you wouldn't take any confusion. You would be able to swing next turn, just no items. So, yeah, that's pretty much, like, all the attackers are really just going to be Ogerpon occasionally if you need a big one-shot KO. Like, if an active Pokemon has a lot of energy. Or maybe you're up against Charizard, which is a decent matchup anyways because we are a grass deck and they're weak to grass. But if you fully set up an Ogerpon and a Charizard EX is fully set up, you actually hit for Oko anyways. But Toedscruel should get the job done as well, and it has a little more HP. So I would imagine, I mean, when I tested this deck, I wasn't up against Charizard, but I would imagine you're probably just going to rely on Toedscruel anyways because it's just got more HP and it could live a bit longer. We also have Mew EX for a draw engine. When I played this list about a month ago, I had Lilligant V-Star and Radiant Venusaur in the deck, and those have been cut by most people, which I'm assuming is for consistency purposes, and now we can play Jamming Towers, which really helps in the Gardevoir matchup. And I like this overall just because it's much more simple. I mean, look, we have every card on screen in the deck right here, which is pretty crazy because this the TCG Live client doesn't have the best deck showcase image. You know, everyone's just kind of staring at the right side, but you can still see every card. We're playing 4 Bug Catching Set. That's going to be how we draw out a lot of our grass cards, our grass Pokemon and grass energy. We've got 4 Nest Ball. We're not playing Buddy Poffin because, yes, I know you can take it with Toedscruel, but honestly, you really don't need it. But because between Bug Catching Set and Nest Ball, which you can now use to take Mew and Ogerpon, there's not really a necessity. You know, we don't have anything like B-Barrel, or it would be Bidoofs, or, you know, any sort of different engine or energy acceleration engine to get a good use out of Buddy Poffin. So 4 Bug Catching Set, 4 Nest Balls is plenty for a deck like this. We're playing a good bit of hand disruption, which is something I always love in a deck. We are playing 3 Iono and 1 Roxanne, and I know I've said before in like other videos, I'm not the biggest fan of Roxanne because I feel like sometimes you'll start with that card in hand and it really won't be able to help you out. But because we are getting good draw off Ogerpon and we have Mew as a backup, I think having 1 copy of Roxanne is fine in a deck like this because we are playing a lot of 2 prizes as well. So it'll be pretty easy for your opponent to take 2 kills, which are more likely than not EX Pokemon, drop down to that under 3 requirement, which is needed for Roxanne to work, and then you could put them at 2 cards in hand. We're also playing Legacy Energy as our ace spec. It's something that I absolutely love in a deck like this, and I don't think any other decks use it like this Toedscruel deck does. We're not playing like a single prize deck, which is where you see Legacy Energy a lot to take 0 prizes. We're playing it in a pretty much a full 2 prize deck because now we have a 1 prize attacker in our deck. So if they KO a Toedscruel or an Ogerpon with Legacy Energy attached, they only take 1 prize, which disrupts their prize trade enough that they will most likely end up taking 7 because we have just 2 prizes left on the board. And, you know, if that doesn't really make too much sense because you're like, oh, you only take 6 prize cards to win the game. Let's say your opponent has 1 prize left and all we have in play are Toedscruel EXs and maybe, like, you know, Teal Mask Ogerpon. No matter what they KO, it is worth 2 prizes. So they had to go that extra mile and take an extra prize card, which makes it just a little bit harder for your opponent. So Legacy Energy, I think, is a perfect ace spec for this deck. Past that, we're playing a lot of Gust. We've got 3 Boss's Orders, 1 Counter Catcher, and I think something I want to mention real quick, because I don't know if I've mentioned it in another video recently, is Jamming Tower. I think this Stadium is the best tech card for really any deck right now if you don't know what Stadium to play, and we're playing no tools, so this doesn't hurt us. But the biggest thing is against Gardevoir EX. If you wait for Gardevoir to take a big KO with like a Drift Bloom or a Scream Tails and put a lot of damage counters with a tool on their Pokemon, you can play Jamming Tower, which will take away the effect, essentially the HP buff of the tool, and then KO that Pokemon. So in the middle of your turn, you can take a prize card, and then you could swing with Toedscruel to take a second prize card, which really, really helps in that matchup, since you can now take 2 prize cards in a turn, just like Gardevoir can against you. Other decks where this becomes a big thing is really anything that plays Forest Seal Stone. If you could smack this down early against Dragapult or Charizard, or really any other Stage 2 decks you might run into that play Rotom, they cannot use Forest Seal Stone since this doesn't have an effect. So they can still draw 3 with Rotom, that's fine. But now they can't search for any card they want, which honestly a lot of times can really help slow down your opponent just 1 turn, which will help you get an extra attack off with Colony Rush. Or I guess even Myriad Leaf Shower, but really you don't want to be using that as an attacker. It's got less HP, and you could, honestly, I feel like more consistently you can swing harder with Toedscruel EX. And this list is absolutely amazing. I mean, this is something I'm legitimately, like, really considering for Baltimore Regionals. I think overall it's got a lot of strengths. In terms of weaknesses, I guess maybe something like possibly Ancient Box could be a little difficult because they can OHKO 2 prizers and they're a 1 prize deck, but we're also hitting for weakness on them, so we could hopefully KO them and disrupt their hand with our high Iono and Roxanne count in the late game to buy us an extra attack, and I think that matchup is okay. I think Raging Bolt is definitely an area where this deck can struggle. It's just a 2 prize deck, swinging into 1 prizer is super hard, and Legacy Energy can play a big role as well as a big late game Roxanne. And we can OHKO as long as they don't play the Ancient Booster Capsule. If they go up to 290 on Raging Bolt, we're really going to have to fall back on our Boss's Orders and Counter Catchers to keep up, because they will be at 290 HP, and we swing for a max of 280. But a lot of Raging Bolt decks play the Bravery Charm anyways, because it can also help their Toedscruel. So if they are playing that build, I think it's easier, but still definitely a hard match, just because they're going to OHKO us super easily, and it'll be hard to kind of keep up the pace with a deck like that. But yeah, I mean, seriously, that's pretty much it for the list. It's not a super complicated one. It is super fun, it's super strong, and it's a great rogue deck right now. So let's get into these 3 games. Let's see if we can pick up a positive record with Toedscruel EX. Welcome to match number 1. We did take opponent, and we did choose to go first, which I think is better with this deck, because we want to try to evolve our Toedscruels as soon as possible and get a big attack off. And our hand is decent. It's not great, it's not awful, and we're up against a Roaring Moon. So this could be Roaring Moon, or it could be Ancient Box, both of which I think are okay matchups at worst for our deck. Ancient Box would definitely be a little harder, but I think we can make it work, especially if they don't get an OHKO or turn 1 attack this turn. And I think with a hand like this, I'm just going to go for 2 Toedscruels, because I got the evolutions, and our hand's a little dead, but it's okay. I can Iono next turn and hopefully draw into enough energy to get going. But okay, so they're playing Koraidon there. Now it's 100% a Ancient Box deck and the Secret Box, so it seems like it might be pretty similar to the list I showed on the channel, what, a week ago? I think it was last week, maybe? I don't think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think last week I played Ancient Box, and I loved it when I played Secret Box. This is, like, I think the most underrated A-Spec in the format right now. I think more decks are finally starting to play it, but I think overall, not enough play it that have the option to. It pretty much just guarantees you have a fine turn because you search for literally one of everything in your deck. So if you don't know what A-Spec to play, honestly, just throw in a Secret Box. I think it just helps overall with consistency, and it's not a bad shout to begin with. So our opponent doesn't have a Dark Energy and discard to... Oh, no, they will. Okay, because they can Greninja. So they are going to get the turn 1 attack. However, I don't know how hard they're really going to be swinging. So if they whiff the KO here, will be alright so long as we can get a return KO. With a, I think Toedscruel EX is going to be our best option. Just because it's got more HP, so it's a little harder to swing into. And our opponent's already down to 30 cards in their deck, so maybe we could just kind of try to, like, run them dry cards in the deck, maybe they might deck out just overextending. And they're going to play a whole lot of Nest Balls, get a whole lot of Roaring Moons. That's fine. That's what I expected. They're going to have to, you know, because we're going to be hopefully swinging for KO this turn. We're going to need a big pop-off turn for sure. For now, actually, I really like jamming Tower coming down. That could definitely hurt our opponent's setup. I don't want to play the Pokestop. Our deck is not built for Pokestop, so it's usually just not smart to play it. And we're going to need double energy and an energy switch to guarantee the KO. And I don't know if we're going to get there. We can Teal Dance to the bench one, because I've got a feeling this Ogerpon is probably just going to die this turn unless we get some insane cards. And you know what? Honestly, we do get a pretty solid... And energy is actually pretty good there. So I can Teal Dance one more time. And... Actually, you know what? We might have the KO this turn, surprisingly. Let me play down another Ogerpon. We've already got a whole bunch of 2 prizes in play. I feel like we might as well. We can retreat into Toedscruel here. Oh yeah, we would swing 160, so we definitely have it. We have to pop the Energy Retrieval now for 1 energy, which hurts, but we can manual attach Energy Switch. And I think what's more important is we're just taking KO. We're swinging for weakness, so we're swinging for 160, which is perfect. And although it's not ideal, I'll live with it because we need to take a prize card essentially every turn. They're swinging for 120 damage now, which isn't anything crazy, but this deck ramps up super fast. So hopefully that Iono gave them a bit of a rougher start. Their starting hand was great, but you know, we'll see what we can do. And there's the Sadas right there already, so they're going to have a great hand pretty much just because they're playing Sada. With a deck like theirs, it's so consistent. This might be a harder match now that I think about it, just because they swing so hard. It's a single prize deck, and as long as we can get a Legacy Energy in play at some point, I think that'll boost our odds a lot. But for now, it'll... This, I think I said in the intro, it's definitely one of the harder matches. A hard single prize deck that can OHKO very consistently for the last couple turns. So we'll see what we can do. And that was a huge Pokestop. I mean, that puts so many more ancient cards in discard. And I'm surprised they actually didn't play the Vessel. I guess 190 doesn't help them too much. So for now, I don't want to research. I like all of our hand disruption is in our deck, in our hand. So I don't want to put it in discard. And that's something that can save us the game against Ancient Box in the mid to late game. And with a hand like this, actually, we are in a pretty good spot. I'm going to play the other Toedscool down. I want to use all 3 if I can. And I think I'm just going to Teal Dance before Bug Catching Set to try to draw into a non-grass card, like a trainer card. And I get another grass, of course. That way my Bug Catching Set will go a little harder. And there's more non-grass cards than grass cards. So we can get another Jamming Tower. That's pretty big. Could shut down our opponent's tool. That's not why I'm doing it. It's more so to take out that Pokestop because that can help them dig really far into their deck. So let's just throw all of our energy down. We get a research for next turn, which is really nice. And oh, those are 2 phenomenal cards to Bug Catching Set into because we can manual attach to our other Toedscruel, and we're swinging for 480 damage right now. So without weakness, we're swinging 240, which is phenomenal numbers. That's one-shotting every basic EX that's essentially in the meta without a tool, because Raging Bolt has 240. So without a tool, that's a KO, which is really good to see. So they're going to promote Koraidon here, which tells me they might not have an attack with Roaring Moon, depending on what this Pokestop is. But I think regardless, I'm going to boss up the Roaring Moon with energy, just because I'm much more scared of that than Koraidon swinging 90 damage at the moment. With the Primordial Beatdown attack, you swing for 30 damage with each of your ancient Pokemon in play, and Shred is a super nice card to have just in general in a single prize deck, because against like things like Drago, it uses Noivern EX, so now you could kind of get around Covert Flight by using Koraidon. That's why I played it, and I think I don't know if it's the best way to run it, but it's the way I have, and I really liked it. And it's a nice backup attacker to Roaring Moon, especially if you're going up against a single prize deck, like Gardevoir or something like that. Using Koraidon is a really nice attacker that you can use every now and then. So they're going to swing for 90 damage. Oh, they will take the KO. That makes sense. All right. Because we already took 180 damage, and we have 270 health, not 280. So we can promote Toedscruel here, and honestly, I think I'm just going to boss up this Roaring Moon right here. It's got all the energy in play. We have another boss's orders in hand, but honestly, I'm so much less scared of Koraidon than I am Roaring Moon. If I could just take a KO on this now, I think we'd be in a better spot overall. And I'm not in a rush to get more energy in play, because we have enough to OHKO pretty much everything in their deck regardless. If they get a tool down, that's a different story. Maybe then I'll want to use research, but for now I like where we're sitting. Them promoting Roaring Moon also tells me they most likely have a Sada in hand that they can use this turn. They got 2 back, so they've probably got a gear, which will more likely than not get them Sada. They've only got 11 cards in their deck. Yep, there's the Sada, so they probably are going to get an attack off. If they miss the one-shot, that would be phenomenal, but I don't know if they will, because they've flown through most of their deck, and they were already swinging for a lot of damage. But Rod maybe could make a difference. I don't feel like going in their discard pile and counting. I'll just wait and see what happens. Keep a little suspense on it. And who knows, they might actually whiff the energy too. Oh, they get rid of another Sada. That's big. And a Dark Energy. They might have been looking for something like that. They're down 3 Sada. And there's another Rod going down. So there's energy. Yeah, our opponent might be short energy. But they should have a Vessel in their hand, I would imagine. If they whiff the KO here, that's going to be huge. Counter Catcher. Okay, they're going to Counter Catcher up the Toedscruel. That tells me they're whiffing this attack. But we do have Energy Switch and Research. So I like our chances a lot in getting an attack off with our active Toedscruel. So not bad overall for us. This is what I was talking about with a late game Iono. They're whiffing the attack now, but if we had Iono this turn, we would have cooked our opponent for sure. Because they're whiffing an attack. We will probably, hopefully, draw into another energy. It really hurts to get rid of a Boss's Orders. Because that's our last, these are our last 2. But it's what we got to do. And if we could take a prize card here, or get Legacy Energy, that would be so, oh my god. It's clips for our opponent, I think, with that Legacy Energy. For now, I can Vessel away this Toedscruel. I don't think I'm going to need it because they already got rid of their superior energy retrieval, and I don't think Ancient Box plays 2. So let me discard that. Let's just thin our deck a little bit more, and I'm going to play another Toedscruel just to keep the full draw engine ready to rumble. And we've got 4 Grass Energy in hand. I plan on using all of them right now, and just setting up every attacker we can. So let's get these 2 Ogerpons down with 2 energy. It should make it pretty easy to get a third. Oh, we could Roxanne next turn if they get a KO too. That's actually insane. I think that'll just destroy our opponent completely. Energy Switch is amazing. We can 100% hold that for next turn in case we need to swing with an Ogerpon for some reason. I don't think we will, but it's a good option to have. And I can play the Bug Catching Set. There's nothing I really need to draw into but an energy, and we hit it, so that's perfect for next turn. And I'll swing with Colony Rush for 560 damage onto their active Roaring Moon. So now our opponent is in a really, really tricky spot because we're up 2 prize cards, and our active Toedscruel EX is now a single prizer when they KO it due to Legacy Energy. So when they take the KO on this Pokemon with damage from an attack, which is all they can do because they're playing Roaring Moon and Koraidon, and I don't think they'll be able to set up a Flutter Mane and use its like damage counters after doing enough damage, 2 damage counters KO. It's just, that's too ridiculous and definitely not going to happen. They'll have to promote Roaring Moon, take a KO, take 1 prize, which will put them on odd prize cards, and I think pretty much guarantee us a game at that point. Plus, they might not even be able to set up enough attackers to follow through. So, this is definitely a scary matchup, but, you know, I think this deck has proven here that it's 100% manageable. You know, if you play aggressive enough at the beginning and then try to conserve a little bit, like conserve your hand disruption cards, I think you can hang with this deck for sure. And our opponent, they're not promoting an active. They might have just tapped out here. It seems like that was what happened. If they're promoting Greninja, I would assume if they were still here, they would at least go for a KO with Roaring Moon. So we might just be sitting for another 30 seconds or so, waiting for their turn to just automatically pass from the timer, and then we'll just, I guess, take the easy KOs. But, you know, we'll see. Other things to mention with this deck, I guess just in terms of matchup, since we have some time, this deck does really well into other evolution decks, since you can hit for weakness against Charizard. You prevent Dragapult from spreading damage counters, which helps fix their math a lot. Like, you do all right into those decks because of that. Gardevoir isn't bad because we played the Jamming Towers, so if you use them effectively, I mentioned that in the intro, you know, you can take easy KOs when they set up Drift Bloom and Scream Tails. Other evolution decks you might run into are like Greninja EX might be a little harder if they play Frostlass, and there's the pass exactly like I thought. So we can just hold the hand and swing for 280. No need to do anything else. And, you know, against Greninja EX, if you run into that a little bit in the ladder, I've seen it a bit lately, which is why I mention it. Frostlass is hard because every Pokemon in this deck has an ability, but that deck has a harder time of setting up like a big board to keep up. And you can use Mew EX's attacker really well in that deck with like a manual attach and double energy switch, or even just a 2-turn manual attach and 1 energy switch. You could swing for weakness against a Greninja EX, which can just absolutely, I think overall that just kind of like destroys what they're going for. If you could take out one Greninja EX with that, they cannot return KO it because you resist fighting Pokemon from attacking. So you can probably KO a second one after that unless they use Frostlass to pick up the KO on Mew. But that's like another fun interaction that I don't think people should forget about. Mew is a phenomenal card in this deck to get around fighting Pokemon like Greninja, to deal with Mimikyus. One would, like, I feel like you would think Mimikyu would destroy this deck, but if you copy Mimikyu's attack with Mew, you KO it because it does damage counters to itself. So that's another really solid way to deal with cards that you would that your opponent could tech to deal with Toedscruel. But it's going to be an easy game. Number one, our opponent tapped out. We weren't able to take the last KO, but that's fine. I think we were running away with it regardless. Let's see if we could guarantee the positive record in match number 2. Welcome to match number 2. Our opponent is taking a mulligan here, and we're up against a Serena EX Frostlass deck, which honestly I think we could kind of run through. Serena EX has like actually one of the most fun attacks I've ever seen. Icicle Soul, you put as many damage counters as needed until your opponent's active Pokemon, or actually I think it's any Pokemon, has 30 HP left. And then with Panic Mask and the Vanillux, you can prevent all damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon with 40 HP or less, which would pretty much be anything you want. However, we're playing Toedscruel EX, and Protective Mycelium prevents them from using that. So as long as we could get energy down on, like, you know, a couple of our Pokemon and just keep them in play, I think we're going to have a great time running through our opponent. So I'm going to play the Bug Catching Set now and take... I don't really want 2 energy. However, I do kind of like taking Ogerpon here, because we need to draw into a Toedscruel for next turn, and we have Earthen Vessel if we need to use it next turn, as well as Energy Switch. So we can get an attack with Toedscruel EX as long as we can draw into it, because our hand's a little dead, but there's the research. So if I got to play that next turn, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I really like this first turn. I mean, I think this was a perfect first turn. We can play the Jamming Tower next turn. It might have been nice to try to save those for the end game, but you know what? Against this deck, I think we're going to have a pretty fair time going into it, and I like our setup a lot right now. So they're going to get Rotom, Bone Sweet. If they don't get Force Heal Stone this turn, never mind. All right, there it is. If they don't use it, Jamming Tower is going to go crazy, but they might use it this turn just to try to set up. I don't know. They might save it for like Rare Candy or Radiant, not Radiant, excuse me, Serena EX, just because I feel like that could help them. It might be a little smarter just to hold it from like their perspective if they don't know I play Jamming Tower. But if they know I play Jamming Tower, they should probably pop it right now. So there's the energy placement. They've got 3 cards in hand, and they're going to use Force Heal Stone now. So Jamming Tower won't be as effective next turn as I was hoping, but that's alright. That is totally okay. I think this matchup is fine enough that we should be chilling regardless. So I'm curious to see what they search for. It might be another Buddy Boffin. Something they're definitely lacking is a draw engine. If they take that, maybe they could go for a Bidoof, and I saw they played Frostlass in their mulligan, I believe, which is a really interesting way to run it. So the mulligan. Yeah, they play Frostlass. So between Frostlass, Monkey Dory, and Serena, they might not honestly play Bidoof, but I feel like they should. So, oh, they played Pidgeot. Ah, that makes sense. Alright. Not bad at all. And their snow runs probably will KO Pidgeot a lot less often than a Bidoof, so that might make more sense. But regardless, I think we're going to be doing alright this turn. Let's... You know what? Let's rip Ogerpon's... Actually, let me Vessel away the energy and draw 2. And then let me check how many... We've got all 4 Toedscruels in the deck, as well as 2 Bug Catching Sets. So I believe we prized 1 since we already used 1, yeah. So let me try to draw into a Toedscruel, if possible. So that's not the Toedscruel I want. It's the wrong one, but I think that's alright. I don't think I need to play it. I think I'd rather just discard that with research. And let's see what we can draw into. That's actually so big. So we can attach Legacy there. We can use Energy Switch to set up a Toedscool. And I think at this point, we can Rod just to keep our energy in the deck. We're going to research here. And let's just pray we get a Toedscruel EX off research. And we do, so that's perfect. Actually, this is a banger of a hand. So let me get another Toedscool down, because I really like having 3 in play. And we've got energy for 2 Ogerpons. So this should work out fine. I'm thinking if I want to play Mew EX. I don't know if I want to. At least not yet, so I am just going to hold it, and I'm going to swing with Colony Rush for KO, and Protective Mycelium will hopefully start putting in work, since we won't be taking any effects of attacks. That being said, you know what I am missing? I am missing some energy on our Toedschools, because if they do use Radiant Serena, or not, I keep saying Radiant Serena because that's what you see so much more. If they use Serena EX, they can damage the Toedschools. Oh, but we'd evolve them, so that would be fine. We'd be far away from the 30 HP KO range of Monkey Dory. So honestly, I think this matchup is just so fine. They could use Frostlass, but there's only space for 1 more Frostlass in play, and if they're just doing essentially 40 damage a full turn, I think we would KO them much faster than they'd be able to KO us at that point, so that's fine. And here's the Rare Candy Pidgeot. We'll see if our opponent can get the Rare Candy Serena EX. I remember that time. And they could use the bottom attack. I don't remember how much damage it does. I want to say like 130 and heal 30, but I might honestly be lying, because I feel like that is a little weak for a stage 2 EX, but the top attack is super strong, so I don't know, it might be that. I'm not 100% certain. And we're going to see a Temple of Sinnoh go down, which is really good for our opponent. And there's Rare Candy Serena EX. It's good for our opponent too, because Legacy Energy now has no effect. And they probably play a bunch of Sinnohs just to dodge missed energies. And was it Trope Kick is the bottom attack, or Jump Kick? Trop Kick, alright. Trope Kick, Trop Kick. And 180 heal 30. Alright, I was close. I was close. And that, actually, you know what? That could 2-shot us. That could work rather well for our opponent, now that I think about it. And they might whiff the energy. Serena usually doesn't play a lot of energy. They might play like 6 or so. And they're going to Icicle Soul. I'm curious who they put the damage onto, because they can only do it to Toedscruel. And they're going to put it on our active, but we don't take any damage. So here's the Icicle Soul. Damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until 30 HP remaining. Protective Mycelium protects us for the whole game. So that's great for us. And we draw into 2 energy here, which I am absolutely loving. I am going to attach 1 to the active, just because I want to make sure I'm attacking this turn and Legacy Energy isn't taking effect because of Temple of Sinnoh. And I'm going to attach the 1 energy to the Ogerpon and energy switch it. Wow, we drew into Mew. That's actually kind of crazy. And I'm going to energy switch it to a Toedscool just to try to protect it a little more. And I think with this hand, I should now Mew and draw 2. I don't want to Iono them. They'll get a full 6, and I like where we're sitting a lot. However, I do like Boss's Orders, because we could take the Rotom. That would be a really big 2-prizer for us. So let's put a 3rd energy onto Ogerpon. Oh, Jamming Tower goes insane too. If we could play that now. Actually, do I need to play that now? I'm not worried about getting KO'd this turn, so I think I'm going to save this until this Toedscruel is going to get KO'd, and then play it to try to save the Legacy Energy. So, and I'll explain like my math with that in a second, but we're going to take the KO right now and Rotom, go up 3 prize cards against this deck, which I think is, that's going to be devastating. That's going to be super, super hard to come back from. But what I was thinking was, they could totally use Trope Kick, do 180, that 2-shots Toedscruel. I want to save Jamming Tower until they're going to use their 2nd attack on Toedscruel, and they don't have it. Like, I'd be giving them an extra turn to bump Jamming Tower. That way, when they do KO this, Legacy Energy will take effect, and they'll just take 1 prize instead of 2 for it. It's a bit harder to do. I mean, they could totally just play Iono or something like that and put it on the bottom of the deck. But we're so far ahead, and I think this is such a good matchup for us that I don't necessarily really care either if they do take 2 prizes off our Toedscool, even though we got Legacy Energy in play. And here's the Iono I was a little worried about, but we have the energy. I think our best bet is to just attach that to Mew here and research. Yeah, and they're going to go Trope Kick. Okay, so now I really want to get that Jamming Tower this turn. I don't know if we'll be able to because it was shuffled to the bottom of the deck and not a random place in our deck. And that's going to be a big Freezing Shroud. But again, it's only what? Like, they'll have a max at 2. I don't know if I'm that scared of 2. So for now, let me attach this to... I guess Mew, just because that's an easy 2-prize KO for them. And I can research here. And maybe draw into... Energy Retrieval's not bad. I love getting Toedscruel here. And our hand's pretty dead past that. So we'll just swing 240. And I'm really confident that next turn we could take a devastating KO on our opponent's Serena EX. And they will take 2 prizes for our Toedscruel. That's fine. Because we're going to drop down to 1 prize. So I'm fairly confident that we'll be able to deal with whatever they put in the active right after that. Even if they put Pidgeot, I mean, we could just boss it up with a fully set up Toedscruel and a full bench of energy. We could easily deal with the Pidgeot EX because we're swinging 280. And they're going to have less health than that because of their own Frostlass. So, not bad. I think it should be pretty straightforward to just close out after this. But we'll see what they search for. I'd assume it's another Frostlass. Maybe something to evolve another Serena. Yep, Yurda. Okay. That's going to be an important wall for them to sit behind. But they need an energy attachment this turn. If they don't have an energy attachment this turn, they might be cooked. Like, for sure. And they took Frostlass off the Yurda. What else did they take? What was their item in a Nest Ball? Okay. Alright, makes sense. Oh, and there's the Pokemon checkup. I didn't even realize that's yellow. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see on that sidebar. Not something you see too often, since not often are things happening during the Poke checkup phase. So they'll heal 30 damage with their Trope Kick attack. They will do 20 damage to all of our Pokemon with abilities, which is pretty much all of them. But they don't have an insane amount of Frostlass in play, so I'm not super worried about that yet. And I'm going to promote Toedscruel, since they still have to 2-shot this guy. And I've got Energy Retrieval Iono, which I'm hoping to go pretty hard here. I could even shuffle the deck with Nest Ball. Maybe I could try to get... Jamming Tower doesn't matter, actually. We lost Legacy Energy. Maybe I could take another Ogerpon? I lied. We can't take another Ogerpon. I might have prized 1 or 2 of them. So, it's fine. That's totally okay. I'm just going to thin the Nest Balls out of the deck. I think we have enough... we have enough in play that we should be able to close out this game relatively well. Actually, you know what? We won't be swinging 280. Oh, that's fine. They have 240 HP left, which is what the max we could swing for now. So that's actually super cool. So let me manual attach here, guarantee the KO, and now let me use Teal Dance to just put another energy onto our Ogerpons. And we get a Toedscruel. I think now I'll evolve this guy, and I'll rip the Iono and try to hurt our opponent's hand a little bit more. And if we get an energy switch, that would be perfect here. But if not, I think we'll be okay. That's actually fine. We can 100% thin a Nest Ball out of our hand, since I'm going to want to Mew this turn if I can. And we'll use Teal Dance, get an energy down there. And Roxanne is a phenomenal card for next turn if they happen to take a KO. So I'm cool with that. I can pop the energy, or Bug Catching Set, and take these. Not bad at all. I'm just going to try to thin our deck like crazy. I think we're so close to the end game. I'm not upset to go a little light on the deck size there and just try to use it to the full potential. So we've got a whole bunch of energy for next turn. I'm swinging for KO here. They don't have any energy down on this bench Bone Sweet, so I don't think they can attack effectively this turn. That being said, they can use Icicle Soul to put 30 to put this Toedscruel at 30 damage. Actually, that could be a big KO there. So that's a little problematic. But I think we'll still be okay. I think we'll still be alright to close out the game. Because they would take the KO with the Frostlass on the return. So maybe I shouldn't have evolved Toedscruel that turn. I think the correct play would have been to hold Toedscruel until I had the energy. So Serena EX didn't do any damage. But it's alright. I think we'll rock. I think we'll rock for sure. And we'll see what our opponent searches for with quick search here. It is going to be Serena EX. I'm curious to see if they have the energy. They're down. Okay, yeah, they got the energy. So, you know what? Playing that Toedscruel down might bite us a little bit. But I still think I'll be alright. Yep, there's the Icicle Soul. They will take the KO on... Oh my god, they messed up. I thought they saw it. If they put 30 damage, or if they used Icicle Soul on this guy, I would have been terrified. But I think because they did that, and Protective Mycelium saved our Ogerpon, that misplay is going to cost our opponent. And actually, oh, that's just game right there. Because we can swing for 280 just to show it that it's not a super hard number to hit. And we had the energy switch there, even to set up Mew a little farther. But we top deck boss's orders, so I can just boss up this Pidgeot here. Swing for 280, which is full KO on a Pidgeot, even though they took 80 damage. And that's going to wrap it up for a nice and easy game number 2. Let's see if we could guarantee a perfect record in match number 3. That would be awesome with this deck. I mean, I am absolutely in love with this deck the more I play it. So let's see if we can pick up a perfect record with Toedscruel EX in match number 3. Into match number 3, we did take a mulligan, but we opened up with a pretty solid hand, and I think we're going second, yeah. So... you know what? Going second might hurt a little bit, and we're up against a Rain and Serena. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm about to be playing against. This might be a chaotic match number 3, just like match number 2 was, because I don't know what's running Serena at the moment. But we're seeing every Serena imaginable right now, which is pretty cool. And that's crazy, a Charizard deck. That's actually really interesting, because normally they use Radiant Charizard because it's a phenomenal single prize attacker. So they must have been hurt real bad by someone who was doing just 20 damage too much to switch that card in. And yeah, it's a full Charizard, not even a Dragapult deck. So I'm really, really curious what we're up against here. And our opponent opens up with, honestly, a banger of a first hand. They got double Buddy Buddy Puff, and they got a whole bench set up. Meanwhile, I am deciding if my research is going to be worth it or not, since I'm getting rid of a Toedscruel. But I think I'm going to have to do it. And let's, for now, just get rid of Ultra Ball. Because, let's see, if I got rid of anything else, I still don't think I'd be able to Ultra Ball this turn. So, let me get rid of Ultra Ball. Let me draw into 2 energy, maybe? Let's do 2 energy. Because I can manual attach and do Ogerpon. So, let me do Ogerpon first. Hopefully draw into a non-grass card, period. Like, not a grass Pokemon. Oh my god, another Toedscruel. That's devastating. That is so devastating. And another Toedscruel. Oh, perfect. That is not what we wanted to see at all. That being said, I can get a return KO on Charizard EX if they evolve it and attack this turn. So I think I'll manual attach here. And I'm going to have to rip the research, and we're going to have to go digging for Rod. Never mind. We get Rod right now. So I think this is a fine time to play Rod, because I really need to get those Toedscruels back. Let me just check if 2 more are in the deck. If 2 more in the deck, we might actually be able to hang. We do have 2. I don't know if I want a Rodder not right now. It could help to hit him off Bug Catching Set, and I think it might be worth it just for that. So you know what? I think I should. I think overall, the safer play would be to Rod it, so next turn I'll have an easier time getting them off Research or Bug Catching Set right now. So let me play the Rod. Let me take back the 2 Toedscruels. I don't think we'll need Slime Mold Colony, so I'm just going to let it rock. And now our chances of hitting a Toedscruel EX off Bug Catching Set was as high as possible. Sadly, we didn't hit it, but we got another Toedscruel, or Ogerpon down, which I think is fine. And if they KO 1 Toedscruel, I think that's okay. I think if we just abuse maybe an Ogerpon as an attacker this matchup and show off how good it could be as a single prize attacker, I think we'll be alright. And you know what? Actually, I'm not upset with this hand at all. It's going to take a lot to retreat that Serena. They'd have to put 2 energy on Serena if they evolved a Charizard this turn. And going down 2 energy, and then we can take another KO with Myriad Leaf Shower on a Charizard EX. Going down 4 energy is really harsh for Charizard. That'll be really hard for them to set up 2 Charizards in play, at once. So I think we're definitely not down for the count yet, but it's going to be a little difficult. I'm almost banking on them taking a KO this turn, though. But if they Rotom Forest Seal Stone, who knows? They might actually be short a piece, and they might just go for an instant charge. If they do that, oh, we're gonna run away with it. I'm hoping. I pray, but we'll see. They have to pop Rotom now. If they save that Forest Seal Stone, we are ripping Iono, and we're going to hope we get a Jamming Tower. And yep, there's the Rotom. Okay, so we weren't able to get an early Jamming Tower off and slow down that Forest Seal Stone from working, but that's alright. I am pretty confident that because we're hitting for weakness, we can deal with this deck as long as we take the first 2 prize KO, which will be easier for us because they're weak to grass. So, not bad. If they just KO a Toedscruel and go to odd prizes, Legacy Energy will be a little bit less important because that'll put them back on even, so I don't know if it's necessarily a necessity. And there's the instant charge there. Oh, that's big. That's really big. And there's Toedscruel. So you know what? Let me evolve the active and let me rip Iono and put their hand down a little bit. And I don't think they played anything after using Forest Seal Stone. So they might have just lost whatever they searched for, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me double check. And yeah, they used Star Alchemy and then just instant charge. So that's going to be a devastating whiff for our opponent. However, we are also whiffing. So that's not good. Let's take another Toedscruel down. I don't really want Mew. It's just a very easy Charizard KO at any point in the game. So, yeah, our hand's actually, like, dead as hell right now. We've got an awful hand. So I'm just going to pass. Our opponent also whiffed a KO. We bit the dust, and we're talking hot. Just a whiff off that Iono. We don't have anything to do next turn unless I get an energy top deck. And if I do, I honestly might just attach it to active and energy switch. And they're just going to go for a TM evolution. Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow. No, both our opponent and I are having a rough time getting going. But Charizard's always been known for just having it like that. And you know what? If this deck is bricking against Charizard when they're bricking, I'm cool with that. You know, we'll take our time. We will take our time. And I think here, I'm going to play the energy switch now. I'm going to, I think, try to just, if I can take a KO, I think it'll help us overall. Even though we'll go to an odd prize card, I think just getting our board more established is fine. And they need a boss's orders to KO an Ogerpon if we take a KO, which is, I'm not, you know, if they do that, I think that'll be okay. We'll just fall back on Legacy Energy doing its thing. So let's Earthen Vessel here, draw some more energy. And it really hasn't worked so far, but I want to Teal Dance first because the chance of us drawing a non-grass card should be higher than drawing a grass card, and there's Jamming Tower. So it might be a turn too late, but I will play it just in case they play Defiance Band or anything like that. I don't know if it'll come into effect yet, but I think it is good to get down now. And we have an energy switch, so even if we don't get an energy off Bug Catching Set, we still have the attack. Wow, there's my voice going. Oh boy. And we draw into 2 amazing cards there. We got a Toedscruel EX for this little guy, and we have the manual attach energy, so I could hold on to the energy switch for next turn and just see if I need to use it anywhere else. So let's swing for KO. Yes, we're going down an odd prize, but if we get Legacy Energy in play, we can force our opponents to do the same thing, and I think that'll help us a lot. And if they take a KO here, I have Energy Retrieval too, so that's alright as well. So they promote Charmeleon. There's like a 150,000% chance they have Charizard EX. Yep, that was guaranteed now that they got Pidgeot into play, so if they whiffed it from the Iono, they've got it off Quick Search. So not bad from our opponent. And now is when the game's going to heat up a lot. I think if they can get a boss KO on this Ogerpon, they'd be in a much better spot. And it seems like they, oh my god, they play a Fire Charizard EX? You gotta be kidding me. What? Wait a second. What? Are you kidding me? Oh, that's a problem. That's so annoying. Oh gosh. But it needs 4 energy to attack, so they're not hitting 4 KO yet? Oh no, that's not true. Because they could just take oh my god, there's no shot. There's no shot we're playing against the one Charizard player with the Fire-type Charizard EX. That's going to be bad news bears for us. Because we are not going to be hitting for enough next turn unless we use Ogerpon. But it's not hitting for weakness, so we're going to need like an unholy amount of energy on an Ogerpon And didn't we get rid of Rod this game already? We did. And we might have to get rid of Energy Retrieval too. Oh, this is bad. This is very, very bad. Oh, God. And they discard 3 energy? Oh, yeah, it's Clips. There's no shot we can even deal with it with Ogerpon now. So I think we, honestly, we could take a boss KO on Charizard EX, though. Which is a really nice play. Or Pidgeot. Actually, you know what? If we could set up a full board... Oh, no, we can't do Pidgeot because we don't have another Pokemon to get 280 down. But that's all dependent on what the one Teal Dance we could afford can get us. So for now, let me put it... You know what? Let me just put them all at 2 energy. So it'll just be an easy manual attach to set up any one of them. And we get an energy. So you know what? Actually, we can Teal Dance one more time. Because we have the energy and energy switch to set up an active Toedscruel and a boss KO on Charizard EX. So let me see what I could get here. Bug Catching Set's actually pretty nice. Not bad at all. I will take these guys. And you know what? Let's just set up another Ogerpon. Why not? Why not? We might as well. All our energy going on these Ogerpons? Yeah, but they're good attackers in this deck. And we get another boss's orders. Alright, that's not bad, actually. We have all of our boss in hand, so that's actually... It's a little... Could be a little problematic, but that's alright. I am going to boss up this Charizard right here, and we should be swinging for KO, yeah, because we're hitting for weakness, so... We are swinging for a lot of damage right now. And... Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's take our 2 prizes, and... Let's see how our opponent responds. Getting Legacy Energy is so massive there. That's actually probably the best card we could have drawn into. And if I could get an Energy Switch top deck or top deck... Yeah, I would need an Energy Switch. I can actually boss KO Pidgeot EX, which I think would be more devastating for our opponent. It all depends. I don't know. It depends what they got in hand. What sucks is I don't want to, like, research away the rest of our boss's orders. I think that would hurt just way too much. But our opponent's also down 5 energy, so you know what? They might not have enough energy left in the deck to keep attacking well. Because Charizard EX normally plays like 7 energy, 6 of them being fire, 1 being mist. However, our opponent's playing Radiance Arena and a Fire-type Charizard EX. So, it's like, it's got everything we didn't want to see, and by everything I meant a 2-prize fire attacker we can't one-shot, so... Not ideal. And there's Cleffa. Are they just going to go for a switch into Cleffa? If that's the case, I'm just going to boss up Rotom and just take another 2 prizes and drop down to 1. Because then we'll just have game in hand because I'll have our 3rd boss's orders to take an easy KO on a Charizard. But there's the Rod. So they've got 3 energy back if they have Rare Candy Charizard in hand. And that's 2 out of 3 cards in hand. Nope, they're going to Brave Wing. Okay. And, I'm curious what I want to do here. You know what? We could take out Pidgeot because we got the energy switch top deck. So that might have been the most insane top deck I could have asked for. Let's put it on this guy, and then let's put the legacy energy here. And we're swinging 280. So I think I want to take a boss KO on Pidgeot. And if they take a KO with Brave Wing, because they'll do 160 damage plus weakness will be the KO, that's fine. Because I have a boss in hand again for next turn, as long as I get 1 energy in play, in hand somehow. And I don't remember if I prized any. If I could take an energy off the prizes, we've got game in hand. Oh. Take an energy off the prizes. That's both energy off both prize cards. So, not bad at all. We've got game in hand. If our opponent does not play a hand disruption card, we're chilling against a Charizard deck that I think could have been the hardest Charizard to run into. I mean, that terrified the hell out of me. Yep, there's the Brave Wing for... Oh my gosh, wait, it didn't even KO. That's insane. Why did it not KO? They swung for 120. Because... Is that considered an effect of an attack? Oh, that's insane if it is. I did not realize that at all. So, oh wait, I don't even have to ask Hashi Energy. Yeah, we could just boss KO Rotom here and just take 7 prize cards just cuz. So, you know what? That might have been considered an effect of an attack, which meant it didn't have any effect, but I'm not 100% certain. Maybe that was a small glitch. Regardless, we had game in hand because we were able to set up another Toedscruel. So I don't think if it was a glitch, it would have mattered too much in that scenario. But that was a super fun match number 3, and there's Toedscruel EX. That's a perfect 3-0 record, which is exactly what I wanted to see with the deck I'm really considering for Baltimore, especially after this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck as much as I did. If you need, deck list is in the description below, as well as my community Discord server, which a bunch of people have been joining lately and asking for help on different decks, asking for different lists. So yeah, if you want to join that and you want to talk or just hang out, you don't have to ask me for help with decks. If you just want to message me and just say what's up, I'm happy to talk to anyone who wants to join. That's what it's there for. As well as my friends too, all of my home friends and college friends, we're in that Discord server as well. And if I'm busy because I'm at work or something like that, there should be enough of us where someone can get back to you as soon as possible. But I will try to respond to everyone that night, and that day, most likely later in the day if I'm out of work, sometime at later in the evening, night sometime. But yeah, it's there if anyone needs it, as well as my other socials. That being said, thank you so much for the support on the recent videos. I have had a ton of fun getting this channel going, and it's been a good month, so I think the newness of the channel is worn off, and I've built a community that I'm absolutely in love with at the moment. So thank you guys so much for letting me be able to say that after just 1 month. So I've got a bunch of surprises this week in terms of new video series coming up. I hope you guys can see those. That being said, I've got some fun decks for the rest of the week, which I can't wait to show off. And I hope if you made it this far in the video, you have the best day ever. Stay epic. Peace.